Hello, it's Saturday afternoon and there's no football. Welcome to Grief on a Tuesday night. It's very warm today. It's 14th of June. I was just saying to someone a minute ago that it's about 21 degrees, not especially it's a bit sunny, but it's not sort of a scorching hot day, but it feels very humid today for some reason. But it's the summer and it's nice, and I'm definitely not complaining about it. So this is number 9. Just wanted to start off again by thanking people for listening. Some of the places I had an email from someone. I think it was like the West Indies. It's staggering. It really is, and it's definitely some sort of repeat listens from the same places in North America as well, and one in Mexico. It really is unbelievable. And believe me, it isn't far from it. It's not me bragging or anything like that. I mean, the numbers, as you'd expect for something that I don't promote anywhere, they're very low, as you'd expect. So it certainly isn't me bragging, but the locations are something else. I can only imagine people stumbling on it by accident. But yeah, the fact that people have come back has been great, and I've had a bit of nice feedback as well, which is really great. This one was basically just about. First off, it was, I guess, a bit of an apology. There's been a large sort of gap in time since the last one. It's been over 3 weeks. Basically, really sort of stuck in quite a rut at the moment, and just found days are sort of blending into each other. I'm not really doing very much. Still trying to stay very active with the sort of house improvements I've been making, and we've got a couple of big ones coming up in July and August, and that'll probably be it. After that, there isn't really much else to do that sort of I had on the list anyway. But yeah, really lazy, very sort of demotivated. It's personally, with my love of football, it's a tough time for me, because without any football, there's no sort of focal point that, we're doing this on Saturday, or we're doing this on Wednesday, or the Saturday or Sunday afterwards, or anything like that. There's no sort of focal point to go to. And yeah, I've just really found that the days are sort of drifting by at the moment, and I can't really motivate myself to do anything. The one thing I have done, I was going to touch on at the end, but I was quite brave, because I was anxious about this. But I've joined, or I'm hoping to join up with a local team just to do walking football. I used to play it all the time at sort of school and youth and Sunday league level and whatever, but hardly at all for years. And I love playing like five-a-sides after work and stuff like that, but not for a long time. The last one was a couple of years ago, and I joined in with a bunch of lads from work who would rent an Astro pitch for an hour. I love playing, and then I managed to pop a calf muscle at the end, which sort of put pace about the next 6 weeks, and never got going again with that. But this seems ideal, just to get back and play football, but without the need to go charging around and pull muscles and do yourself injuries and stuff like that at my age anyway. So it sounds ideal, but it still makes me really anxious, because I've got to go and meet a bunch of strangers. I don't know anybody. I've literally had an email off the guy who runs it. Sounds very nice. Give me a list of things, that they sort of do, time-wise and whatever else. But it's still a bit. Yeah, I'm gonna sort of get some gear on and take all my Astro boots and moldeds over and whatever else. But yeah, when you don't know anybody, it's pretty daunting. Well, it is for me anyway. But that's next week. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I've been trying to sort of give myself some goals. I've been thinking about trying to learn another language, specifically French, but really haven't just haven't cracked on and got on with anything. There's been some setbacks as well over the last few weeks, and in the end, I've got a couple of days where me and my lad are going to go down and stay with my sister. She lives in sort of deepest Cornwall, and I've never been down there. I've travelled across Europe and been to America and whatever. I've never been. I think the furthest south I've been in that part of the world would be like Plymouth and Exeter. No further on really than that. But yeah, she lives another good sort of hour and a half down into sort of deepest Cornwall. So yeah, hopefully that'll be a bit of respite for a few days as well. But yeah, so speaking to one or two other people, it's not sort of anything that's unusual in terms of what I'm going through at the moment. But I do wish I could sort of kick on and knock this on the head. But I do find I'll walk the dog in the morning, and then you do a couple of things, and it's like, yeah. And then the day sort of drifts by, and it's rubbish because it's wasting time. It's wasting days, but I don't quite know how to sort of pull myself out of that rut just at the moment. Hopefully this walking football thing might help, because it's a couple of times a week. I'm going next week for the first one and sort of see what it's like, but that would at least be a couple of times a week. Just get out of the house and sort of do a bit of exercise. And the guy said for everybody's sort of well-being in terms of fitness and mental health, it's ideal. And I mean, that sounds absolutely perfect for me. I did have a bit of contact from one of my old podcasts, and I was talking about the amount of friends I thought I had, but actually just turned out to be people that I knew, and they hadn't contacted me in months and months, and people I respected and thought were mates. And one of them got in touch quite recently, and he'd actually bumped into a lad who does keep in touch very, very regularly with me, and unbelievably they bumped into each other at the football. But yeah, and it was really strange, and I don't know if I'm really overthinking this and being a bit daft about it or what, but it seems strange to say, well, I've spoken to so-and-so about the fact that he keeps in touch with you, so I thought I'd see how you are. And I don't know. It almost seemed like, well, he's doing it, so I better do it as well. I haven't replied yet. That's not necessarily through any sort of aggressive reason for not doing it, I suppose. But I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it. But that's like the first time in months and months and months that he's asked me how I'm doing. And it seemed on the basis that he bumped into someone else who was keeping in touch with me. So I don't know. It's it leaves me quite sort of quite confused at times, to be quite honest with you. There's literally only been a couple of people sort of constantly in touch, one or two maybe outside of that now and again. But yeah, so I've been thinking about that a lot over the last few days. Going back to another one, which was the sort of anger and the temper and whatever else, and I've found quite often it's still sort of 0 to 100 in a microsecond, and it can come from nowhere, from nothing, and it's it's still there. That hasn't changed. Most of the time I can walk around and be absolutely calm, fine, but it doesn't take much to, and not just the anger. I mean, if something bad happens and sets that off, then yes, obviously that can sort of manifest itself. But it doesn't take much to deflate me either. If there's a bit of a disagreement at home, or you're out, you might be at a shop and I don't know, someone who works there is particularly rude or whatever else, and it really doesn't take much. I was telling my lad that I used to have a friend a long, long time ago who used to be really good at sort of rising above, people who might be rude to him, whether it was in a shop or in any walk of life. And if they were, he'd be able to sort of say, "Hey, you have a good day now," and he'd walk away. And he'd always say to me, you've got to be the better man. Fuck them. Fuck their miserable life. Just be the better man. And he was brilliant at it. He was absolutely brilliant at it. And I just can't do it. I do try sometimes. He just had a gift for being able to do that. And he was, I'd say he was definitely my best mate for, I'd say around 15 years. I've known him through work, and then when he had a couple of kids, I was godparent to his daughter. And then, really strangely, after being so close and so tight for so long, when we were expecting ours, and he was so excited about it, and I was thinking, oh, this is going to be amazing. He's going to be like the best uncle going, and all the rest of it. And very strangely, we were out, and his lad was playing youth football, and we were going to meet him there and just go and watch and just hang out. And due to a sort of illness that was coming up, we clearly weren't going to be able to go. So I sort of sent him a message at the time. It's probably on one of those old Nokias on a text message thing, and just said, look, we're not going to be able to make it today, Rich, and really sorry. We'll see you soon. And he really took the hump. He took it really personally. I have no idea why. It just came from nowhere. I don't know what was affecting him at the time, or whether that triggered something with him. I really don't know. But he really got the hump, and then never spoke to me again. I sent him a message the day that my lad was born, and I got a real sort of generic response, whereas, other people's responses would be excited and can't wait to see him and all this sort of stuff. His just said sort of, all the best from me and Sarah, and that was it. And it was like, wow. And I'd stuck with him through, he'd left his missus and kids, and run off with someone else who lived sort of 250 miles away and was getting chased around by a rat. It was a sordid, terrible, long story, the sort of thing you'd probably have on Jeremy Kyle now, some horrific program like that. But and I supported him. I was there for his missus too, and the kids, obviously, but I supported him. And in the end, he just walked away from our friendship, and that was it. So, but we'll update wise. Like I say, 3-week gap since the last one. It's been very sort of very up and down. But what I would say is it's been really dull, and there's not a lot going on. And I'm just hoping that I can sort of snap out of it with the walking football. And a couple of big house things coming up, and by the time all that's done, the football season's back in sort of mid-August. So hopefully, we'll have a few more sort of focal points to lead to from there. So it sounds a bit. I've said from the start, sometimes this sounds it sounds so miserable, but it's, to me, there's nothing worse than, especially with some of these, like you'll see all these documentaries and things on Netflix, and it's always like, oh, and so is down in the gutter and couldn't be lower, but they always miraculously come back, and everything's happy ever after at the end, and it all goes well, and this sort of thing. And I think I said right in one of the first couple of these that this was sort of never ever going to be like that, and it was just going to be more of an honest, raw sort of a little audio journal of sort of what's going on and what's happened since last October. And it's 8 months to the day now. I mean, that in itself seems like incredible. It's one of those days like any other sort of big or a sort of a momentous day in your life that you'll never forget. I always remember just driving home with him, and we turned the radio off. We always have the music on in the car, and I just turned it off because I couldn't bear to have a song that was going to remind me of that time of that day. So I specifically just turned it off. And obviously we were just talking to each other anyway, but it's some days I'll be out walking the dog and it just hits you like a ton of bricks. And other days are okay, and you get by and you get through. So yeah, that's where we are. Hopefully, like I say, I've done I use a website called Buzzsprout for these podcasts, and I've just sort of updated it because when you're on the free one, you've got a certain amount of time before, I think it's 90 days before your podcasts start to disappear. So I've gone on a plan on it, and obviously if it turns out that it sort of dies away and sort of dies off completely, then sort of so be it. That's fine, and I'll stop it. But I just thought it'd be nice to keep it going for now while there's a bit of interest. I'd still really like to get in touch with people. I'd like to, if other people have got grief podcasts, I'd love to speak to them on it. Or if people wanted to speak on this one, I'm very open to all of that. So yeah, just to finish off, so sport wise, obviously, for me, there's not a lot at the moment. I mean, I do like cricket, and I used to play it at a reasonable level when I was younger. And I'd like watching it, but it's just not the same buzz for me as football at all. I don't sort of tune in and think, oh, great, cricket's on, get it on, or anything like that. I've been to see games, plenty of games live as well, but it just doesn't do the same thing for me. So the only sport I'm going to have at the moment is going to be this walking football, but I'll let you know how that goes. And then TV at the moment. So Race Across the World just finished on the BBC. That was really good. I was thankful that the mum and son one, that was quite good. The two old guys had gone from first to last and sort of dropped too far behind. It was just the sisters that were playing up to the camera all the time and like screeching and making weird noises, and they couldn't just sort of talk normally. It was very rare that they talked normally. They were always acting up, feeling like they had to play up to the camera. But yeah, the mother and the son won, and I said to my lad, the mother kept saying about how she'd been basically just kept inside for 20 years and never gone out, never worked, never done anything, and suddenly this travel had like absolutely revitalized her. And I said I can almost see her going home and just saying, I want a divorce, and I'm not staying working as a housewife anymore. That's it, because she absolutely excelled. She was really, really good, to be fair. And yeah, they were a good pair. So that was good. Watched a film called Downsizing, which started off for me personally really well, but really drifted and just thought the end was pretty dull. So yeah, apart from that, really just been sort of watching sort of either comedy specials or stuff to do with like Bill Burr and Tom Segura, because I like those two. yeah. So just watching that, trying to keep the spirits up. And music wise, I mean, yeah, I've been banging on the last couple of times. The Volbeat's album came out last Friday. Sounds pretty good actually. Listened to it through a couple of times, and yeah, it's all right. I'm gonna have to give it a few more goes. And Malevolence is out this week on the 20th. Just saw something with them that they dropped a single a few weeks back, and it was them sort of on top of the hills, and they were all on their instruments, and they were all sort of stood on separate hills, somewhere well out in the English countryside, and they had cameras and a drone flying about, and shots of like the guitarist doing a guitar solo on top of a hill, and it was all pretty good. And the National Trust had complained along the lines of it wasn't in keeping or whatever, but they'd made a complaint. They'd had to take the video down after actually shooting a proper video. They'd had to take it down, which shame on the National Trust. I don't know what the fuck you're playing at. I would have thought there's far more important fucking things to worry about than a band going up in probably the early hours when there's no one around to just shoot a few hours of a video. But fucking hell, I mean, don't get me started on the National Trust, because we had a place close to here we used to walk at it all the time, and it was just the car park was run by the local council, and as well as being cheap, every sort of Sunday afternoon onwards it was free. It was great. And then the National Trust handed it over to basically a car clamping company in somewhere in Yorkshire. So all the prices went up, and then we got caught out. In fact, specifically just me, I got caught out. And it was like about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It was a summer. It was beautiful. Just walking up there. Didn't see that the things had changed, and suddenly got £100 fine in the post with threats of bailiffs and all sorts. And I wrote to them saying, is this in keeping with the National Trust, really? And it was honestly, you could look it up on TripAdvisor. It suddenly went from being one of the nicest places to go and walk, and people would travel from all around to go there, to suddenly this great slew of comments about I've just been sent a threatening letter and whatever else. So yeah, fuck the National Trust. I don't know what you're playing at, but you're fucking idiots, basically. But the one music, the one I'm really, really looking forward to, and I am genuinely makes me happy, is a band called Streetlight Manifesto. They are not a sort of rock or metal sort of standard stuff I like. I think generically you call them as a genre, you call them like ska, punk or ska, third wave ska, that type of thing. Lots of big horn section, guitar, one guitarist and a bass player and a drummer. Basically, when I got into the Mad Caddies, another similar band, and very hard to define because they do all sorts of stuff. When I got into them, there was a natural little move over to Streetlight because they were a similar band. Now, they haven't put anything out for 12 years. They notoriously took a long time with all their albums they've done so far. But yeah, they've done nothing for 12 years, and now they've got something coming out. And they hardly ever come and tour in the UK, and when they do, it's just the odd date at these sort of punk festivals where there's one in the south, one in the north, and they're on for like half an hour, 40 minutes, so it's just not worth it. You want to see them perform for, 14, 16 songs or something like that. So I've never got to see them, but they are bringing out a new album. It's out on the 24th. I'm not quite sure I'm going to get it yet. I mean, they're a pretty, they're I'd say they're a reasonable size in the US, but over here they'd be pretty small time. They'd struggle to fill any sort of reasonable size venue. But I think they're great. They're absolutely fantastic to listen to. So yeah, Streetlight Manifesto, new album on June the 24th. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. Doesn't seem like I can get it through the standard places at the moment, so I'm not sure where because I always like to buy the physical media for bands that I like. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that. So yeah, I suppose on the upside we've got that, and I've got the walking football next week. So I'm either going to go and not get on with people and think it's crap and never go again, or I'm going to go and think, actually, yeah, it was good and I got some fitness out of it as well. I'm really hoping it's the latter, because if I could do that once or twice a week, I think that would really, really help. Certainly my fitness wise is fucking atrocious at the moment, absolutely abysmal. And that's, 100% down to me, no one else. So yeah, it would be really, really good if, I could get something from this. So yeah, fingers crossed. So yeah, again, thank you so much for anybody who's listened, and especially those in the far off places of North America and South America and the West Indies and places like that. Just staggering, amazing. Yeah, thank you so much, and see you for the next one. Ta-ra.
So you were born, and that was a good day.